the road. All right, welcome to the Spring 2021 Virtual Educator Externship, hosted by ElevateEdAZ, the Center for the Future of Arizona, Arizona Business and Education Coalition, and the Pima County Superintendent's Office. As a reminder, we ask that you please keep your cameras on for the duration of the session and ensure your microphone is on mute if you're speaking. Today's session is hosted by Catherine Perez from the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation, who will discuss insight into workforce development in the Phoenix region and what students should expect as they enter the workforce. Catherine Perez.
Perfect. Thank you, Casey, for that warm introduction. So I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to add a link to the chat for individuals to click on and join. I'm trying to make this as interactive as possible. I know workforce and data can be quite dry, but I definitely want to hear from you all and get you engaged in the conversation. So that being said, take some time to click on that link and open the presentation, and then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you guys can let me know that you guys are seeing my presentation. Give me a thumbs up, would be wonderful. Perfect. I'm working, I got a docking station and 3 different screens, so I'm super excited. I feel like, you know, future technology, my own little hub here. So we're gonna kick right off, see if my presentation is gonna, perfect. So with that being said, what are you looking to learn from this session? So you guys have an option of attending different sessions, or out of two, 1 out of 2 sessions. What intrigued you to join this session? What are you looking to learn from this session? Let me know if you guys are having trouble entering it as well. Of course. You are very welcome. Okay, labor market info. Future trends. Top industries, opportunities, the what, how, students, information, okay. Trends. Internships, upcoming in-demand jobs, trends. Okay. A couple more minutes.
What?
What was that? Careers. I feel like I need elevator music while you guys just might need answers. Sometimes it definitely catches those phrases that come up in pieces. Perfect. Okay. Looks like internships for students is pretty big. We're seeing the repetition there, so that's great. So we'll hit on some of these. If not, we can definitely incorporate into discussion, or you can always follow up with any of the workforce development managers from our team that we can always talk on more or in more detail as well. I'm going to be providing more of a high level overview since we have only an hour together this afternoon. Let me make sure I'm on my screen. Perfect. So we have another one for you, keeping you guys sharp. What does workforce mean to you as an educator? Job. And if you guys relate to something on the screen, you guys can type it in again as well. So I'll make the font bigger, showing that there's multiple people that are agreeing on that verbiage. I don't know. Huh? I think workforce is very complicated. There's a lot going into it, and often it's not clearly defined. Preparedness, available work, working person, advancement, opportunities, passion, drive, opportunity seems pretty big, so a lot of you guys typing that in. Perfect. So I'm gonna kind of turn it around here. What do you think workforce means to a student? I think a student knows what workforce. Jobs, a job, right? Money. Opportunities, so seeing some common text. Jobs plus people. Possible job, that's interesting. Specialty, employment. Professionals, new career, trade. We're like seeing that. Give you guys a couple more minutes. They're starting to slow down. Okay, so it looks like our most common was opportunities is what majority students associate with. Perfect. So we're seeing some overlap, but very clear on that. So with workforce, I just thought it'd be fun to bring up that definition. The workers engaged in a specific activity or enterprise, and then the number of workers potentially assigned for any purpose. So definitely aligned with the words that you guys were sharing and what educators and students may associate with, but not maybe relate to, or it's a common verbiage that they associate with. With that being said, to give a little bit background about the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation, there's multiple legs within the foundation. So we have our workforce branch, and so within that we have 6 different workforce collaboratives that we'll actually dive in a little bit later in more detail. We also have an education branch, our ElevateEdAZ, with our director and our career coaches, doing that groundwork of understanding the degrees, the different programs, and connecting with employers as well. So we're coming from, workforce is coming from the employer side. Our wonderful career coaches are coming from the education side to kind of bridge that gap and bring everyone to the table. We also have our wellness branch as well. So looking at health and wellness, providing different resources with webinars, a newsletter, our Healthy Pledge as well. So bringing that to our employers to be recognized and information to them in that aspect. And then we also have a research branch as well. Back to research with providing data, such as some that I will share to you through our workforce report. But we also have public policy, economic impacts, and so a variety of different research being played in different aspects to showcase the workforce within the Valley. So with that being said, hitting on that research and data aspect, we have a 2020 workforce report that we put out at the end of last year that has a lot of data relating to different components with industry specific types of information, educational degree and resources, and then also the impact of COVID that's had on the Greater Phoenix region workforce. So with that being said, we're going to jump right in and engage you guys once again and keep you on your toes. So do you believe the pandemic had an impact on the workforce in general and in the greater Phoenix region? Just seeing a solid bubble, I love it. Yes. I was wondering if I was gonna get some additional slices in there, but we're having a solid agreement. And we definitely discovered that in our report. Perfect. So with that being said, these were 3 key findings that we discovered through our research, and it had multiple components, from surveying businesses throughout the valley, connecting data from different institutions as well, and different resources to collect and be able to present on the impact that COVID has had. So some of the things were not very surprising, but some were definitely surprising to uncover as well. So we knew that it had a dramatic economic impact. We see a high number of people who are dropping out of the labor force. And I apologize, my dogs are joining the conversation. Working from home hazards. In addition to that, also the impact it had on certain industries. For travel with hospitality and tourism, but even healthcare as well, which we often don't think it might have an impact on healthcare because we're thinking it's a pandemic, COVID, there's a lot of healthcare involvement, engagement, but there's a lot more components that go into healthcare, right? There's not only the critical care and emergency that might have a high need, but what about those, non-emergency procedures that have, orthopedics and so forth that aren't necessary, but had to shut down and close. Dental services, dental hygienists, and so forth. So it had a huge impact on that I think a lot of people weren't expecting as well. Any questions on these? Or if I'm going too fast, I get really excited. I'm just throwing a lot of data at you guys right now. Perfect. So continuing with that pandemic, impact on the workforce on the long run as well. So seeing that the lateral and the diagonal moves on the career lattice, for example, is one of the components. With many individuals that are going to be found unemployed during the pandemic will never return to that occupation. They're going to leave that industry and either shift of going back to school, getting a certification of sort, reskilling, upskilling, and not going back. Some people are taking advantage of this time and saying, do you know what? I maybe didn't enjoy this, or there's no more opportunities in here. What kind of skill sets, what kind of opportunities are available for me to shift it? And the industries are doing that themselves. People in financial services are seeing that there's skill sets that can overlap or come from people that are in hospitality, that they can be successful in this industry. And how can we bridge that gap between industries and utilizing these people that need jobs and other skills, and how to showcase and connect the dots? So that's something that's really, I think, cool and fascinating coming out of the pandemic, as people are shifting and changing, and industries are as well, of looking at different talent pipelines that they maybe never thought of. With retirement as well. So here we have a stat with the 51% of older workers who went from employed to out of the labor force reported their first try to find a job and give up. We also have a stat of 42% of older workers who left the labor force reporting retiring, compared to the 28% that had that same start in the Great Recession. Huge percent difference as well. And then a total of 4 million people potentially pushed into retirement before they were ready will increase the old age poverty and exacerbate the recession as well. So there's huge statistics with people moving out of the workforce and maybe not having that talent pipeline to fill all the individuals that are retiring. And that's definitely huge in certain industries. We're going to see that in advanced manufacturing. We're going to see talent leave with construction, and not having those built pipelines to go in and capture that knowledge before individuals leave, which is key. And then moving towards the virtual workspace. We are virtual now. A lot of employers were very hesitant to provide individuals to work from home. The pandemic kind of forced that hand to let that force the hand to let employers or have to have employers work from home. And they have seen that they can trust their employers. They're able to complete their work. They're able to do what they need to do from home. And so being able to evaluate cost savings, office spaces are going to change. They're going to downsize. They're going to shift layouts. Maybe not everyone having an individual office, but having hotel spaces, having more communal spaces, and having people come in and out and looking at more of hybrid, maybe scheduling. Addition to that, with workforce, we're all virtual. Thinking about employers, are they going to have to source talent locally? They can now outsource the talent or go to other states or nationally because they're not buying to a physical location. So we're very curious to see how that's going to change the lay of the land with being able to bring in workforce on the national aspect due to that no boundaries in this virtual space. So very curious to see how that will work out.
Catherine, I have a question before you move on to the next. Do you know how they've identified older workers? Is that above 60, above 55? Do you know? And that data might not be included. I'm not sure.
They probably do. I would have to go back to the specific resources that it was pulled from. On our workforce report, everything has sources and links, but I didn't dive into what that age was.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So that's a great question.
I'm just always curious about those terms because sometimes I'm in that, category these days and other times I'm not.
I would be interested too to see how they categorize that with those with that term. But I unfortunately don't have it, but I can look and see as well for you.
That's great. Thanks.
Any other questions? If not, I have a question for you guys. So with our next one, which of these three industries do you believe is the largest within the greater Phoenix region?
Hey, Catherine, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why tech and cyber isn't on this option?
So this is gonna be biased because I picked in these answers based on our next slide. I know.
I'm excited to see the slide.
Perfect. So it looks like construction dominated here. But from our findings, so I was trying to find what other was defined and diving a little bit deeper, but I wasn't able to. Just being frazzled with getting this together, but I can find out more of what that was defined by in our resources. But by 13%, you have healthcare and social assistance, 11% by government, and then retail trade, we have 10%. Financial insurance, we have the 7%, and then construction by 7% as well. So looking at what has been large and critical to the region, and that has dominated, has continued to dominate in the Phoenix Valley. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So we're going to dive into educational findings. I figured this would be very interesting for everyone to dive into. So with our first slide here, what are you looking at this pie chart? What are your thoughts? And you guys can either unmute or put things in the chat as well. So it looks like we have bachelor's degree at 36%, master's degree 20%. And so these are different degrees that were awarded. I believe this is between 2018 and 2019.
I think it's interesting. Sorry, you're taking questions, correct?
Yes. Go ahead.
Right. I think it's interesting in looking at the data of like how many kids are saying that they're going to community college and then they enroll to how many are actually like completing their degrees, even for bachelor's degrees. Like that's not, they seem like not very high numbers.
Okay. What else are people thinking? Or what are your guys' feedback with what Anna just said?
Well, it looks like to me that more and more students are going the associate degree, more technical 2-year programs where they can go and work and make a lot more money than us teachers, that's for sure.
So between 2018 and 2019, 50 institutions in the greater Phoenix region granted 125,243 awards that range from 1-year certificates to postdocs. So more than a quarter were awarded were lower than associate degree, and roughly a third were bachelor's degree. I thought that was very interesting.
Catherine, this is based on the number of students who actually entered into some type of post-secondary education training.
These are,
correct?
yes, completed awarded degrees. Mm-hmm.
And the percentage of, well, we don't have to go there. I just wanted to make sure there was clarity. This is the number of students who actually entered into post-secondary education.
Correct, yes.
And I'm just going to jump in because this data, it's a great example of data can be confusing, right? From what I read and heard you say, Catherine, of the degrees that were awarded by all the institutions in Arizona, so however many hundreds of thousands of degrees you said. So for example, 14% of those completions were probably certificates because they were less than 1 year. So they weren't an associate's degree, that wasn't a bachelor's, but it was some kind of a certification, more than likely. Whether it was a boot camp or a 24 hours or A+ certification that somebody did through a community college, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to verify that. Thank you.
Yeah. No, data can be confusing and overwhelming. Perfect. Okay. So with that, do you agree or disagree with the following statements? We have 4 statements here for you. There has been a short-term shift towards certification and away from degrees. The most popular programs of study have all seen a short-term decline in. The fastest growing programs of study include both technical and general fields. And then career and technical education is a critical component of the talent development ecosystem. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes here because quite a bit going on. So you guys have 4 statements. See where you guys lay on that. Be a little bouncy. We are leaning towards more strongly agree, but it looks like we got a little taken back. I think we're leaning more towards agreeing with these statements. Give you guys a couple more minutes. Waiting for us to hit that 15, it looks like that where we started slowing down. Okay. So it looks like majority of it we strongly agree with these statements, and that's true with our findings. So let's look at some data and some tables around that. So there has been a short-term shift towards certificates and away from degrees. So the number of degrees have declined actually even since 2012, and the number of certificates awarded have increased since that point of time as well. So there is that interest of more getting more certificates. The most popular programs of study have all seen a short-term decline in completion. So most common ones that we often think of, right, with healthcare, business management have declined. And then we've seen a large increase in Two of the more universal or fundamental programs, liberal arts and sciences and interdisciplinary studies. And then the fastest growing programs to study include both technical and general fields. Was any of that data shocking for you guys or pretty aligned with what you're hearing and seeing from students? I saw some nods. Can I get some thumbs up? Some reactions? Thank you. Perfect. Okay. So it doesn't seem anyone was really shocked with that data. And then career and technical education is a critical component of the talent development system. Wow. So it seems like that's our first step in the long-term career pathway. Okay. I mentioned at the start that we have I mentioned at the beginning that one of our legs is workforce, and we have 6 workforce collaboratives within the foundation. So we have advanced manufacturing, construction, IT, cybersecurity, healthcare, and financial services. So we're going to dive a little bit into these as well. But I got to keep you guys on your toes. So since 2010, jobs in the manufacturing sector have increased by more than what percent? You're going to see some lucky numbers out here. At 15, 16, 10, okay. That seems pretty common. 12 is a close second, it looks like. 65, 33, 5%. Okay, so it seems like 10 is in the lead. That's pretty close. It's actually 18% from our sources from our workforce. So people went under, you scored over, you busted. So with that 18%, and they've, through the pandemic, actually have had the lowest unemployment rate. So they have been going strong in the manufacturing, advanced manufacturing industry since the pandemic. We've had to shift and adjust and change policies or protocols due to safety, but they have continued on, which has been very interesting to see from a workforce data trend. So within advanced manufacturing, it's actually one of our newest collaboratives that are just getting off the ground. So all of our collaboratives are employer-led, bringing employers to the table to evaluate talent needs and challenges, and what kind of resources and strategies can we put into place to address these challenges. And with a variety of different opportunities as well, from straight out of high school, becoming an assembler, a technician, a variety of different apprenticeship opportunities are available if someone's interested in going in this direction. Common employability or soft skills that they're looking for, they often reference those 3 A's. That if someone has come into their employment and looking for a job and they have those 3 A's, they would hire them on the spot, bring them on and train them. They are hurting for those entry-level positions, but they're not only wanting to bring them on board, but also grow them in different aspects. And they're kind of reevaluating on how they can showcase different pathways and different opportunities of growth. If that's showcasing on how going from an assembler can provide you with a training to become a CNC machinist, a production manager, if you're wanting to continue on to go get your bachelor's degree to become an engineer and so forth, or wanting to shift, maybe wanting to go into business management on the other side of things. So they're trying to evaluate that a little bit more to showcase the impact that you have going into this industry and the variety of different paths that you can go into as well. Any questions?
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you know, we just saw the increase with manufacturing. Would you say that, like in your collaboratives, Catherine, or like your work with manufacturing, that more employers are starting to create apprenticeships models and all these different types of like models to really get more of these students, you know, out of high school in?
Yes, so I would say within manufacturing, they're looking at different ways to get individuals interested. Around manufacturing, there is a stigma, just like there is around construction, with what that work is like, and being able to change that of what kind of work is available and what you'd be doing is something that they're trying to reevaluate in that aspect. And with that, they're trying to incorporate different pathways, if that's creating some kind of intro course and collaborating with different institutions. For example, I'll give Boeing as an example, their wiring harness program that they have. Boeing needed that need, looking at different pipelines in the Valley, collaborate with the Arizona Manufacturing Institute, with Maricopa, to create a boot camp to get people through the door and create that pipeline. There's a big support for apprenticeships, which is well known in manufacturing. That's coming down the pipeline from the new administration of supporting and funding. So I think there's going to be a lot coming from that aspect as well.
Great to hear. Thank you.
What is that institution? The manufacturing.
Say that again.
Yeah, what is the institution? Manufacturing. I lost it. I was lost.
I can share that with you. Leah Palmer is the individual that leads AZAMI. And it's the Advanced Manufacturing Institute. My computer's thinking. As it loads, I will copy that link in there for you. With Intel, yes. So there are a lot of manufacturing that's coming into the Valley with Intel, and what their press release was, Taiwanese semiconductor as well coming in. So there are a lot of big employers that are coming into Valley that are needing to recruit. We have Intel represented in different aspects. We do have them in the collaborative, but they haven't expressed what their needs are just yet. Since we're brand new and just still finding direction of how we can support these individuals, they definitely have that challenge of needing that support for their entry levels. But outside of that, I can't share too much at this time. And I have that link for you.
Catherine, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So advanced manufacturing is a very masculine position. How are we recruiting or enticing young women to enter into this field?
So that's one of the things that they're struggling with, exactly, is how can we talk to students of all different backgrounds. There's a variety of different, oh my gosh, I can't think of, JFF was another one. They just had a webinar on diversity inclusion within the manufacturing, of how to showcase women that are having success, being able to bring those individuals to the classroom, or how can we showcase that it is mostly male dominated, but how females can also be successful in this role and showcase that. That's a great question. And I know that's one of the topics that they've brought up, is when we're connecting with students and having that diversity in who they're recruiting and how to recruit them as well. And showcasing that in different ways. It's very similar to construction. So with our Build Your Future Arizona, same thing. It's very masculine dominated. And so Build Your Future has been big in showcasing. They have a great video about a female welder and her success in this. So how can we find individuals that have success in this, that can speak to that story and relate to those individuals about their career pathways, and so those students can see themselves in these roles. I think that's going to be a challenge that both construction and manufacturing is going to have to. That's a great question. And with that, I got too many screens. So, does a skilled craft professional make more than a college graduate? Did I click too fast? I showed you guys the answer, didn't I? Yes. I got ahead of myself there. I better not see any more call-outs on there. Yeah, so a skilled craft professional makes $5,000 more than a college graduate on their first job, on average, right? So there's a huge need, and I believe Paul, our manager that our workforce manager that manages our collaborative over there, says that within our construction projects, I think we're 2 years behind. We just can't keep up with the different infrastructure and construction needed. There's the individuals that we need in this skilled trades are just not having that interest, and why not? What within construction or within that, do you guys see, even with yourselves, like stigma around when you hear manufacturing and construction? So we mentioned with diversity, right, with being male dominated. What other things come to mind when we think about these industries that can be a challenge for students to be interested in, or what their thoughts are? Can I hear your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm personally thinking the undocumented students, you know, because they have to get past the e-verify, you know, so I think that's a barrier, you know, because they have the talent, they have the potential, but because they're undocumented, that's going to limit their options. And especially in these fields, I really think that that's a barrier that we really as a society should probably reconsider and look at, even in just a temporary sense. But that's just my thoughts.
Okay.
I'd also like to add that family, those that they're around and their perceptions of where females should look at in terms of careers, and then males and such. And so I think that, you know, sometimes I'm working with females, you know, my female students who will share with me, oh, no, that's not an option, or according to my parents, I shouldn't go into that.
So that's definitely something that I think the employers are trying to think about, is not only connecting with the students, but with the parents as well, right? These are things that have changed. These are the different opportunities that are available. This is the, you know, the least that you can graduate and make, you know, 6,000, 9,000, 6 figures, and be debt free and not have, you know, have college debt as well in these different roles. So, and I understand for striving for education to have a college degree, but who says that you're not able to do that, to be able to continue to grow in these trades, to have that skill set, and then wanting to continue your education to attain that degree. I think some people think that if they go in this direction, it's, you know, they attain this role and that's it, and that's not the case. There are a variety of different opportunities and directions that people go into, and you can continue your education. You can continue these different aspects. It's not like the end of the line type of component that we have that thought around. So with Build Your Future, it's a great tool and website. I apologize. So Build Your Future with our construction campaign, same thing. It's an awareness campaign of what different types of opportunities are available for students, what kind of pathways are available, what are different resources. And so these are a group of investors coming to the table to kind of evaluate and build that talent pipeline to showcase this industry. And so there's a variety of different tabs, information, boards with job postings. I can also provide Paul's contact information to kind of grow and have this impact as well. Questions on that? Perfect. We're going to hit pause on engagement a little bit. We'll dive a little bit deeper. So we also have cybersecurity and information technology. So these groups are cybersecurity collaborative has been around for quite a bit of time. We have recently launched the information technology, but have seen a recent overlap in the different skill sets, knowledge, and opportunities that are available. So we've brought these two groups together, and something that's really exciting that they're working on and have is aligning those state standards with industry expectations, for 3 different pathways that they're evaluating. And something that's really exciting that's coming out of this is actually hosting a summer 2021 virtual cybersecurity IT externship rotation. So with our workforce leader, Dan, is leading that initiative to bring those conversations to tables, and hopefully it will come to fruition in this summer. So it just showcases the great things that come together when you're bringing employers to the table and connecting those dots with different opportunities and resources. We understand there are a lot of employers who are doing a variety of different things. We're all striving for that talent, but working together, it widens that talent pool. It provides different opportunities and different aspects that can be shared with different students having those different experiences. Any questions there? I know it's already 4:41. Perfect. And then financial services. So our financial services collaborative has come together to evaluate their also entry. Arizona, or in the Valley as a whole, has become a hub. We've heard a hub for manufacturing, a hub for healthcare as well, and for financial services. We have big employers that are coming to the Valley, needing those entry-level positions. And so identifying this need, there's a lot of roles within financial services that don't need a degree to get started or get your foot through the door. But there's a lot of growth potential that students can attain going through this route. One of the big things when going into financial services, financial planning and so forth, are those licensing and those certifications, right? The Series 7 that students need to pass that actually are hard licensing exams. To pass and to attain that is a huge goal and a huge accomplishment for someone to attain. So recently, the governing body for the financial services, FINRA, has created a new type of opportunity, a licensing called the SIE, or the Securities Industry Essentials Exam, where an individual can sit for that exam and not have to be sponsored. So the catch for those licensing exams for an individual that wants to go into this role is you'd have to be sponsored by an organization. Well, the SIE comes off where you can take it if you want to. You don't have to be sponsored. There's opportunities there to gain that knowledge and get this licensing. This provides an individual a huge advantage over their competitors. It's a high desired licensing and component or qualification. It's not required, but it's highly desired. So the group has come together for the Maricopa Community Colleges to create a prep course to allow students to prepare for the exam. And we actually right now have had 2 cohorts that have been small, but have been very successful and mighty, with 100% passing rate. And they have been scooped up by employers like that. As soon as they complete the course, the employers are reaching out as from the collaborative and asking, are they looking for a job opportunity? Are they interested? So that is a huge item that Maricopa has jumped on to. And now the institutions are also incorporating in their programs as well. So it's very interesting there that someone is looking into it. We're seeing, yes, I do. We're seeing a variety of different successes in that interest, but it's also financial services is hard to connect with students on financial services. Am I just going to be, working with money and math and so forth, but it's also the aspect of helping people. Those skills are key. I mentioned earlier that different industries with employment are looking at different individuals and skill sets that overlap. Hospitality, communication, customer service skills are key in this. You're working with different individuals, you're educating them, you're assisting them with their financial successes. It can be very exciting. So it's also trying to tell that story and get students involved and interested in that. And even if a student maybe isn't interested in financial services, maybe looking at more business aspect, maybe not wanting to do like wealth management, financial, but having this licensing makes you stand out as a candidate. Having that differential factor from everyone else that's applying, having that different mindset or perspective that someone else might not have. Actually, Casey, can you find that link for me? If you look at Scottsdale Community College and then security industry exams.
Yeah,
I know we're we're running short on time. Perfect. So just a quick question, making sure you guys are all on your toes. From August 2019 to August 2020, employers from the healthcare sector in the Greater Phoenix region posted more than blank job openings online. Go back and forth. Oh, found it, Casey.
You beat me to it.
I'm too quick.
Thanks.
Well, thank you. Okay, so it seems like we've slowed down a little bit. We're trying to find you guys. Perfect. So the correct answer is 103. 103,000 posted. So within our healthcare collaborative, we have large hospital systems and healthcare systems that have come together to evaluate different challenges and needs, and that has definitely shifted and changed. So there's believed to have a 28,000 nurse shortage by 2025. This is across the board nation. Multiple collaborators that we've connected with have also been trying to address this issue. And so what the hospital collaborative came to is you have a group of nurses and wanting to upskill them, move them into specialties, provide them the training to open those general nursing roles and open those opportunities for graduate students. So they identified 6 different specialties, and they kind of tailored to that need of the hospitals within the valley. So what came top of mind was critical care, which came in huge need through the pandemic. With that, they collaborated with Maricopa Community Colleges of creating they had an opportunity to get a grant, I think it was 5.8 million, in collaboration with Maricopa to create a SIMS lab to provide training for these nurses in these specializations. So we have had successful multiple critical care cohorts, and we just recently launched in the spring the telemetry cohort as well. We were focusing originally on upskilling nurses that were internal to the hospital systems, but as COVID hit, that had an impact on that of nurses needing to stay by the bedside due to the cases that we had. And Maricopa did a great job of reaching out to their alumni with their interests and seeing their want or need to upskill. And so we've had a huge response where nurses are interested in upskilling and learning these great skill sets to be able to specialize in these different directions. With that being said, so we have great programs being launched and continuing to grow. So we've had critical care and telemetry thus far, still evaluating what the next cohort or specialization will be. And seeing how that will continue to grow as we hopefully come to post-pandemic to see how that we can then continue to go back to the healthcare system, upskill those nurses opportunities. Within these trainings, they were often looking for a nurse that had at least 1 year of experience, but continue wanting to open that pipeline for individuals. They have now incorporated a specific course with a EKG in the critical care. So additional component that now a new grad nurse can also specialize. So again, giving that leg up opportunity, having this additional training that maybe another grad just coming out of nursing may not have. Providing a variety of different opportunities in that aspect to upskill, and that is our focus. But again, with COVID, the hospitals had also other needs as well. With security, environmental services, food services. So now they're trying to evaluate on how we can provide those opportunities, but not only fill them, but again, create pathways within those culinary environmental services. If I have someone coming in as a diet tech, and they're wanting to become, let's say, a nurse, what kind of pathways and resources can we provide them for them to move into that role? Or overlap, and having that overlap. Let's say someone's coming in as an admin and wanting to go in IT. What kind of opportunities or resources can we create to provide that type of training for them with that interest when they're looped into already our healthcare system? So that's something that they're looking into currently. Because a lot of times when I think of hospitals, we think of nurses and doctors, but it takes a lot more than nurses and doctors to run a hospital. So it's having those conversations as students interested in healthcare, but maybe are not a blood and guts type of person. That's perfectly fine. If they're interested in business, there's business administration that works within a hospital setting. There's IT and cybersecurity that is needed to protect all that patient information. So I'm thinking of collaborate with their different thoughts and ideas and maybe settings that they're interested in, and how they can work in that setting still with those different skill sets or degrees that they have.
Yeah, Catherine, this is really aligned with, we had a representative from Honor Health speak the other day. We were talking about the other occupations that Honor Health has besides, the customer facing.
Was it Leah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
so she spoke a lot about, the lab technicians.
She's a rock star. She's awesome with the information that she has. So with that being said, I know I saw beginning with some internships and job opportunities. I would love to connect with you more. I can provide my contact information to provide different opportunities to further connect or provide more information or find you more information or resources as well. I know we wanted internships. I mentioned one of our externship opportunity, but we'll continue to dive and explore with our different our different collaboratives in general and looking at different opportunities to connect. Statistics, jobs, perfect. And my presentation can be shared and there's a variety of links to click on that. The 2020 workforce report will be really helpful as well to dive in a little bit deeper. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So thank you all for having me today. I really appreciate showing the great work the foundation's doing. We're working hard and looking at all the different data and seeing what kind of challenges are out there to connect those dots essentially with the employers that we have in the greater Phoenix region, and working with our great ElevateEdAZ team to connect those dots and provide those opportunities. So thank you so much for having me this afternoon. This is your last session. So yeah, you guys survived, right? 2 weeks of externships. You guys are amazing. So please let me know if you have any questions, and then I will also type my email in the chat for you all.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for your time today. This was probably one of the most engaging presentations with mentees. So I know a lot of our educators were definitely engaged, but we thank you. This information is so valuable. And I know that we will have Lauren send out this information to our educators so they can have it on file.
Perfect. Again, thank you guys so much for having the time to connect with us this afternoon.
Catherine, I just want to jump in and say thank you so much. I was thrilled that the chamber, even though you're really working with us on this endeavor with ABEC and the Pima County Superintendent's Office, it was great to actually have the Chamber Foundation present this work. Great information, and just educators out there, this is exactly why in our work at CFA and our Pathways work, we partner so closely with chambers of commerce here in Phoenix, as well as chambers in other cities and regions as well, because they really are kind of that voice of the industry partners and work with those industry collaboratives. So I think for many of us, you know, we don't even maybe understand or know all of the resources that our chambers have. And those of you, depending on where you are, Gilbert Chamber, the Chandler Chamber, Westmark on the west side, there are lots of other, you know, chamber organizations. Greater Phoenix Chamber is, you know, very large and has a lot of different things going on, but many of your more regional chambers too have great information about your region. So it's just such a great resource. And Catherine, I really appreciate you doing this, and you did a great job. So thanks so much. And educator team, it's been great to be here with you for these last couple of weeks on these sessions. I had my colleague Mel Baca, I know, did a couple of the Zoom master sessions for me, but it's been really great to kind of see all of you over the course of the last couple of weeks. And I will see you tomorrow in our wrap up with Robin. So thanks everybody. I hope you have a good evening.
Bye everyone.